Let's put it on wrong so you understand what's going on. So we'll leave the tapered part facing the outside and we'll put the flat side in. So when you put it on, it won't seat inside of there. Do you see how it's sticking out? Welcome back to the community, everybody, and thank you all for being part of it. And thank you for the stickers, t-shirts, purchases, and donations. I do appreciate that. Today, we're going to go ahead and do the rear wheel bearings and make sure everything seals up nicely, put the backing plates on, the brake assemblies, pretty much get it all buttoned up back there. I may throw the shocks on if I got time too, if you guys are not too bored. Let's get on it. Let me just get your attention for a second here. Do you remember VW Trends magazine? It was away for 16 years. Well, in spring of 2021, VW Trends came back into existence. So go down into the description below and subscribe to this great magazine. So I got everything somewhat ready. I'm going to show you the importance of what to do in prep before we start putting them on the car. So come up close. All right, so I already got the backing plates assembled. I may have to take this bar off though, because the gasket has got to go on here. All right, but let's put them aside for a moment. Make sure you buy kits. You're going to need kits with the gaskets and O-ring and all those other little goodies. I was going to use my original German bearings, but sadly, and they are old, I can't complain, but when I was turning the one, this one seems to move smooth. It kept sticking, so I figured I'd better change them out. I don't want to have to take them apart again, but these are original German ones, so it kind of stinks. I really wanted to use these very badly. My buddy had these in his stash, Beck Arnley, so I'm going to go ahead and give these a try and see how they work out. Beck Arnley used to be a good name, but they're definitely not made here. They used to be. I don't know what happened there, but hopefully they do move nice and smooth compared to my originals that are wore out. So they got metal inside of there, which is nice. So hopefully no issues. I'm going to pre-grease them anyhow, just because I like to. What we're going to start with is cleaning these up, because everything has to be clean. I'll talk to you about the holes for drainage, a little bit of everything. So let's go ahead and clean this up first and go over it. So this washer was the original one. I'm going to see if it's thicker or better than the newer one, because if it is, I'll go ahead and keep that. The O-ring we're going to change. Here is a spacer that was in her. I'll show you how that all goes together. But first, the oil slinger is still in here, and so is the seal. So let's knock this seal out. I'll show you how to do that, and then we'll clean this up. All right, I have a 32 millimeter socket on here. Let's see if this will take the seal out. Well, wow, that's in there pretty tight. Let me get a different hammer. Thought that would pop right out. No, it's not. It's trying to go through the seal. Wow, I didn't think that seal would be that hard to get out of there. Try again. There it is. Wow, that was a little more stubborn than I thought. Our oil slinger seems fine. I'll just clean it up. I'll show you that when it's done. There it is right there. All cleaned up. I want to use the original oil slinger. So there is our old seal. Cucky, poopy, and wore out. So what do we have to do here? We have to clean this up very well. And then I'm going to show you the hole that needs cleaned out that is very, very important. So sit back, I'll clean this up real quick and come back, and then I'm going to show you what to do with this. That's very, very important. When you are putting these seals in, which we didn't do yet, do not put silicone around them. The last person put silicone around, and I'm trying to wire wheel with a brass brush in here to get it all out. What I'm going to do next, and then I'll show you when I'm done so you don't get bored, this hole and this slot that drains down into this hole needs all cleared out. There's Permatex in there or silicone. I don't know what it is, but don't ever fill these holes in. That is why you will get leaks. And I'll explain it in the end why you need that hole opened. So I got it all cleaned up. First thing is first, you have a drain hole here, okay, on your backing plate. And we'll go over this once we are in the car with it, and it'll make sense, hopefully. This drain hole must be opened up. It's right there. This had silicone in it, which is the backing plate. They had this plugged off. This cap goes over it. I just cleaned it all up. That hole lines up with that hole. So you will have a seal in here. This here is connected to this. Watch when I push that through. See that? Okay. Oil will drain down through here and through here when it makes it past the seal, which is part of your backing plate. And when it drains through that hole, it comes out the back and down onto the ground. Now, I don't believe that was a clever way for Volkswagen to do that, but I guess if it gets past the seal, it's better than going all over your assembly here. It goes down inside that hole, through this channel, then through that hole and out the back. And that was good. Weird invention, but it worked. Somebody had siliconed all of this, siliconed the hole shut, siliconed that hole shut, and siliconed that hole shut. And that would explain when I first took this apart, everything was just covered in grease and oil. It had nowhere to go when it made it past the seal. So don't use any type of silicone. I guess somebody didn't know any better 30, 40 years ago and siliconed all the holes shut. Don't do that. All right, enough about that. That just really aggravated me. So let's open our little package here and see what we got. We have our new seal, which is going to go in here. We have a new O-ring. I'll show you where that goes shortly. And we have our gaskets. New cotter pin, pretty cool. And an O-ring, because that O-ring has to seat inside of here and smash so it seals. I'll show you when we put it on the car. There's our spacer. I'll probably use the factory one. We're going to go ahead and put our oil slinger and seal in. The seal will stop right here on this lip. So you need the seal to stop there. Your slinger will be sitting up against this so it has movement. So you don't want the seal against it. And I'll show after I get it put together. So I'm going to go ahead. I got from my Vever kit, it's a bearing presser, race presser. I'm going to use it for the seal. So get that ready. So what I'm going to do first is put the oil slinger, just set it down inside, just so it sits there and can move around. I'm going to take, I know, put it in the comments, dielectric grease. I want to lubricate this seal a little bit just to help it slide. And why do I use that? Put it in the comments if you know why. Instead of regular grease, because what happens to the rubber? Okay. Gonna press that a little bit in. Alrighty. All right, hopefully it goes in straight. We shall see. So you got to get it down in there. Check it. It's starting to go. Okay. I used a bigger one to get it started. Now I got to downsize on the spacer. All right. I went down one size to where this fits down inside. Double checking it. It's going. Okay, let's check it. Well, I don't think you're going to be able to see that with me, but it's seated perfectly. I'll see if I can get some pictures to show you what I mean. Because you want the seal to seat down where I showed you earlier, but you don't want to pound it past there because you want the oil slinger be able to move around. So we seeded that. Just check out the photos. So hopefully that made sense to you. You do not want your oil slinger rubbing up against this on the inside, and you do not want it rubbing against your seal. You want it to be able to move around freely. If you do it correctly, that's fine. It'll work good. But if you compress this seal too far, this is not going to move and you're going to have a squirter. So next, we're going to go ahead, we're going to put our spacer in there and we're going to put our bearing on the shaft. So pay good attention to this. Everything you do here matters. Let's go. So we are over at the car. Now, one thing to know, if in fact you're new to this and you take this apart, you're going to have oil coming out of here. So very safely, you can jack up your arm to pick this up a hair, and then it'll stop the oil from running out of the axle tube and all over you while you're doing it. My transaxle is empty right now, so that's why you're not seeing anything like that. Now, the first thing you have is your spacer. If you can see, it's tapered on one side and the other side is flat. The flat side will face the wheel. The tapered part will go in and it'll seat inside of here. Let's put it on wrong so you understand what's going on. So we'll leave the tapered part facing the outside and we'll put the flat side in. So when you put it on, it won't seat inside of there. Do you see how it's sticking out? Okay. So I'm going to put some grease on this so I don't have to pull it back out. And then you'll see the tapered part goes in and it seats clear inside of here. Well, let me grease this up real quick. I greased it all up. We're going to put the taper side in and you're going to see, once I get it in there, how it recesses. There you go. See how this is flattened out in there now? That's what you want. Okay. Now make sure, take a brass brush, nothing harsh. Clean these splines out really well. Clean your threads up. Make sure this is almost polished. You want it nice and clean. Next, our bearing is going to go on. And remember, put that spacer in. We're going to go ahead. I'm going to grease up the bearing first, and then we'll go ahead and I'll show you how I'm going to put it on. Okay, so I'm going to have to keep you backed up a little bit just on this part. So I went ahead and I greased up the bearing. I also greased up the shaft and inside here because this is almost like a press fit. So we got grease inside of here on the outside, and we're going to have to go ahead and pound this on. Now, one thing I don't recommend that you do is start pounding on this with a punch without holding back on this, okay? So you want to hold on to this while you're pounding it because you don't want this pounding in and hitting the differential inside in the spider gears. So you don't want to use them as a backdrop to hit against. So here's what I'll do. Sorry, but I got to have you back a little ways so I can get in here. I'm going to put the punch inside one of these slots like this, okay? And then I'm going to hold my hand on the shaft, but I'm going to leave it loose so I can hit this, but holding the shaft so it doesn't pound in. It should make sense to you. Let's try that out. There we go. Let's go down here. Remember, you don't want to hit these threads. When you're holding this, you're holding it like that. See the gap between there and the threads? And you're holding your hand tightly on this spline so you're not pushing it in. You're just tapping this. Move it around. You can see it going in. Sorry, I can't have you up close on this one. Okay, let me get in there 1 second. Spacer started sliding out a little. We don't want that. I thought it would stay in, and it didn't. Just take your time. think that was it. It bottomed out. Okay. I got all kind of grease in there, which is fine. Now I'll bring you back up close. Put some grease. That's our spacer. That's going to go up against the bearing. Do not forget that. You will be sorry. Grease up our O-ring. I have to see if this fits. If not, I got to stop the job and order one. Ugh. Come on. Don't break it. Now what I got to see here, I don't know if I got in front of you. Next would be this with the tapered edge. I got to see if it'll smash in there. Okay, looks like it might. I guess the spline stretched the O-ring out further and it should work. Okay. What you're going to have, see how that's concave, like tapered? That will go in flat side out. So you're going to slide this in there. It's going to compress against that O-ring when you tighten everything together. So don't forget that. All right, so we're going to set our backing plate on here. Now, when you're on the driver's side, your arm for the brake cable will be at the back of the car if you're on the driver's left side, because your e-brake cable will come in this direction and grab it. I hope that makes sense. Make sure this is all cleaned up here because you'll have a gasket going on there. Okay, let me see if I can reposition to get you a better view. All right. Now, I did put a little aviation sealer on this gasket against the backing plate, but do not block that hole with any. I stopped around right here with it on each side. Don't block that hole. It's a drain hole if need be. So we got that on there. Now I'm going to take a little bit of grease and put it around this spacer so it seats inside of the seal. I'll show you which seal. Give me 1 second. Okay. Just so it slips on it a little easier. All right, what are we putting on next? Next, we're putting on the large O-ring that came in the kit. It's going to slip over top of your bearing. Okay, keep everything straight here. I know it's a lot of little parts to work with. Gotta love swing axle. However, it is what it is. The O-ring is seated on the outer side of the bearing. And what I meant by that, that spacer slips inside this seal. So I'm going to put some grease around this seal, put it all around the seal inside, so when you put it on, it slides on easily and it don't pinch the seal. This hole must be at the bottom where the hole is on it. We're going to put that on like this. There we go. Now, let's put some bolts in. They have 14mm heads. Take your time and get them started. Don't start them with a ratchet or anything stupid. Whoop. Sometimes it takes a little jiggling. There we go. This is like the best camera angle I could get you folks on. 14mm. Don't go crazy. You gotta torque them properly. Okay, let's get our torque wrench. So we are going to go ahead now and we are going to torque to 43 foot-pound. So I'll try to stay out of your way, but I think you know how to torque a bolt. We're going to crisscross kind of the best we can. There's only 4. Working around the camera is not easy. Okay, let's go up here now and hit it at 43. I have the funniest feeling. This isn't 43 because the thing, it's not clicking. Okay, there's 43 there. And then, sorry, my neighbor's kid keeps coming in my garage. So 43. All right. Okay, this one still needs done. Put it this way. Okay. Now, me being me, I'm checking them all again. Because when he walked in, I lost track of what I was doing. Okay, and click, click. Hopefully we have no oil leaks. Remember, the way I did this, keep everything how it's supposed to be. The spacers, gaskets, don't get creative on your own like somebody else did, filling the hole with silicone. Why would you do that? Now, after all is said and done, make sure you check your brakes, make sure they're properly on there, and put your emergency brake cable through and hook it up, and then put your drum on. And I will do the drum torquing probably in the next video. I'm just trying to get some stuff done all at the same time. Make sure you torque that properly if you do it before my next video, though. That should be it. I'm going to go over a couple of things with you, but that is your new bearing, which will make a big difference. Nice and smoother in the back of the car, and your new seals. So everything should be buttoned up there. And before I close out, I wanted to say hi to Trixie, my friend. She just retired. So she's going to be full-time on her Volkswagen and other hobbies that she does have. Thank you, Trixie, for being part of the community. She has really been a great supporter. All right, now obviously I'm not going to do both sides on camera because you're going to get bored and then you're going to fast forward, so I'm not going to do that. I hope you have watched the whole video. If you did, say in the comment, I did. I really appreciate that. And then we're going to go ahead and probably get ready to bleed the braking system off with Heather. Yes, she can help out. All right. I'll see you Sunday night, live chat, 9 p.m. Eastern. Everybody, have a safe, happy weekend.